Okay, what are we most concerned about?
My spirit
Karma
is an unquenchable fire.
or this life gain? I think we're worried about the life gain.
Whatever the cost.
Hey everyone, Raptor Spank here, and today we have On the Grind, the show where I cover a deck I'm playing in Ranked. I'll break down the deck, some flex spots, talk about some basic mulligans, and then we'll put it through some ranked matches and review how we do afterwards. This week might not be the most competitive deck I've ever played on this show, but I wanted to try something out because I was seeing a number of old decks making a resurgence, so I figured, why not? Let's try a Blast from the Past deck that I actually never covered on this show, but I have played in the past ranked seasons. But essentially, that is Bilgewater Ezreal Tempo. The basic buff to Black Market Merchant and not Warning Shot, Make It Rain, all kind of help bring this deck back a little bit, so I wanted to give it a try. It's essentially kind of like the Ezreal Draven variant, where it's definitely a tempo deck that's looking to kind of build its own board state while controlling the opponent, but unlike the Ezreal Draven version, this one is a lot more aggressive and a lot less control-y. And essentially the version I'm playing does also have a bit of the NAB package in there too, so that's even a little more peculiar, I guess we'll put it that way. But essentially the goal of the deck is to kill your opponent fairly quickly and use things like Ezreal or Gangplank as just late game closeouts, as well as Riptide Rex is making his show-stopping appearance. It was the old finisher for the deck, and I'm still running it in this version as well. So, first off, looking at the champion package, we do have those 3 copies of Ezreal. It's not a crazy Ezreal deck, but we can kind of level him up fairly quickly, although we don't have a lot of spells to make his flip form a lot better, but he can kind of create his own mystic shots, which work in a way for that as well, and it's essentially just there to kind of close out the last few points of damage against our opponent. So he's not a primary win condition of the deck, just sort of a nice way to finish up those last few points of damage. Then we do also have 2 copies of Twisted Fate. I was debating about whether this should be an all-in on Gangplank deck, or if I should keep the Twisted Fate despite his nerfs, but I decided ultimately to keep 2 copies of Twisted Fate because there's just so much utility we get out of this, from either red card for board wipes, gold card for dealing with something huge, or a blue card just to keep cycling you through your deck and giving you more mana for your spells. So just a lot of great value we can get out of Twisted Fate, and it's not impossible for us to level him up using our NAB package as well. So we do have a number of things that work well with Twisted Fate, so he's ultimately worth the 2 inclusions, but certainly not a primary card of the deck, just something we have there for a little added utility. And finally, 1 copy of Gangplank, just as kind of a penultimate finisher. We do have the Dreadway in this deck, so we have a number of ways to find Gangplank if we don't draw him. So this 1 copy kind of works like a pseudo 3 copies, and ultimately it is just there to slap once you've already leveled him up. For the most part, I mean, you probably can play him a couple of times before he levels up, but he is our only copy, so you kind of want to wait till he's leveled up, slam him, and then win the game using his attack trigger to kind of close things out. So just a great finisher. But let's talk about the follower package, which is pretty hefty. We start off with 3 copies of Jagged Butcher. It's one of the most cost-effective 1-drops in both these regions, so it's just really, really effective. And we do have a lot of ways to trigger Plunder in this deck because we are a Plunder Matters deck. So this is often going to be a 3-3 and just helps us build this pretty aggressive board state very early on. We also have 2 copies of Pool Shark because this does have a lot of utility, although we aren't particularly built around the drawing cards plan, so we only do have the 2 copies of them because if you play this on turn 1, there's a lot of really unfortunate cards we can draw, so he's kind of better for the turn 3, turn 4 plays, and even then, still, you could hit a Riptide Rex or a Dreadway, which would be very unfortunate, but then again, it's just extra card draw, so it's not that bad. And it is a nice statted body that can block fairly well, so just a good way to round up our 1-drop package. Now, what we have a lot more of is we do have 3 copies of Zonai Urchin, because this is a much more aggressive card that lets us cycle through our deck, and at least the cards we draw aren't going to be fleeting, so if we don't use them that turn, it's not a problem, unlike Pool Shark, although it does cost us a discard from our hand to get that card draw, so it's not like a free card like Pool Shark gives us, but this is a 2-power 1-drop, which lets us be fairly aggressive. So that's the big thing we have it in the deck for. Then we do also have 3 copies of Black Market Merchant. As I mentioned, this card got recently buffed or reverted back to its original 2/2 form, so it's a lot better now. And we can get an extra card out of our opponent's deck, so it kind of gives us pseudo card advantage by drawing our opponent's cards, as long as we can trigger Plunder, which, as I mentioned, we have a lot of ways to do that. And even if we can't, it's still a 2/2 for 2, so perfectly fine to play it as just a body since we aren't super nab focused with the deck. We also have 3 copies of Petty Officer. This is another really aggressive Bilgewater card. While it is still a 3/1, it does come with a 1-drop as well, although there are a lot of bad 1-drops that have been added to the game that make this card a lot worse, like things like the first or the last win where you can pull the 0/1. If you pull the 3/3, that's great, but if you pull the 0/1, obviously not particularly great since it also doesn't get the prey as well, so it's just super downside, but it is still a great aggressive 3-drop for our deck, so we are running it, and we can also grab a keg with it, which our deck does have a number of ways to get advantage out of that keg, so that's not necessarily bad either. We do have 2 copies of Zap Sprayfin too, because this is just one of the best Bilgewater utility creatures, since it gives us a card, and it gives us mana back, and it is an elusive threat, so that helps us force damage through and get our Plunder triggers, so a lot of value to get out of Zap, so we do have the 2 copies of that. As I mentioned, we have Riptide Rex, 3 full copies of that. I don't know whether it would be better to go 3 Zap, 2 Riptide, but the list I'm running runs the 3 Riptides because, hey, I just miss playing Riptide Rex. It's fun to play him, so we're running the 3 copies of him. Essentially, this is just a great finisher for our deck, and it also turns on Ezreal because all of those Cannon Barrages do level up Ezreal. So it doesn't trigger Ezreal once he's flipped, so it doesn't deal damage based off that, but it is a targeting ability, which does mean it levels up our Ezreal, so you don't actually have to worry about leveling your Ezreal, because you can always just slam a Riptide Rex and just auto-level him up right then and there, which was always kind of the big play with the deck previously. And again, this can do a lot of damage to our opponent's face if they don't have creatures, and if they do have creatures, it can kind of wipe the board potentially and just really get things back into our favor. So we do get a lot of value out of Riptide Rex, and our last unit is 2 copies of the Dreadway. This does a lot of things for our deck. It finds us our Gangplank. It's a fairly aggressive body on its own, and it does have Fearsome to kind of make it a little bit harder to block. And it makes all of our damage-based abilities deal double damage, which is great on so many levels. If Riptide Rex is dealing double damage, it's going to really clear your opponent's board like nobody's business. It's great with Make It Rain to deal a bunch of damage. And it also increases the damage off Ezreal or Gangplank triggers too, so just so much good value we can get out of the Dreadway. So while it is an expensive card, it is worth running the 2 copies of it. As for the spell package, it is a bit hefty too, because we are a tempo deck, so we're looking to kind of control the board state. So we have 3 copies of Thermogenic Beam, a nice little catch-all, hits anything in theory we want to hit as long as it has 13 or less health. But also it can be used on turn 1, it can be used effectively on turn like 5. It just always is an effective card to have, and a 0-cost way of triggering Ezreal as well in the late game. We also have 2 copies of Warning Shot, because as I mentioned, we have a lot of Plunder-relevant cards, so this sets us up for like an amazing turn 1 where we Warning Shot Jagged Butcher, or it's something we keep in hand, so we can go turn 8 Warning Shot Riptide Rex. It just essentially enables a lot of cards in our deck. We also have 3 copies of Make It Rain because it's a really, really strong card that's seen a lot of play again, and that's because 2 mana to deal 1 to 3 different things. Really, really good, and if it hits 3 units, that's halfway to leveling up our Ezreal right then and there. So, really solid card, easy include in the deck. Also 3 copies of Mystic Shot, kind of similar thing, cheap Piltover removal that can also go face, so it can kill our opponent as well. It's just does a lot of things we'd like it to do, as well as triggering Plunder if we have 2 banked mana going into our Riptide Rex turn, so we get a lot of value out of Mystic Shot. And finally, 2 copies of Pilfered Goods, since we do have a lot of ways to trigger Plunder, and we have Black Market Merchant. This can kind of draw us a bunch of cards out of our opponent's deck and make them cheaper for us with the Black Market Merchant, which is awesome, and it does work with Twisted Fate as well to level him up faster, so Nice little solid round out for the deck. As for some flex spots, there's a number of things you can do. I mentioned the whole thing about like going down Riptide Rexes. You can go down Dreadways too, things like that. You could swap out the 2 Twisted Fates for 3 Gangplanks, or swap out the 1 Gangplank for a 3rd Twisted Fate and drop the Dreadway entirely. But some of the creatures you can consider bringing in is at the 1-drop spot. You can bring in some Crackshot Corsairs, maybe replace the Pool Sharks, and while we won't be drawing as many cards, this will give us a nice solid way to trigger Plunder as well, and gives us another aggressive 1-drop that does a little more for us for killing our opponent than Pool Shark does. You can also add in some Ballistic Bots, because that is one of the big Piltover tempo pieces that came out since this deck's heyday anyways. The original list didn't have Ballistic Bot available, so you could try to jam it in there too, although if you're going to go up cards like that, you probably need to go down the NAB package a little bit, or cut some of the top end as well. And then finally too, you can do Dreadway Deckhand, which did see some play back then, because as I mentioned, kegs do a fair bit for us, especially with stuff like Make It Rain, so kegs aren't necessarily a bad thing for us to get, so a 2-2 for 2 that gives us a keg is a solid include, and especially if you kind of go like the all Gangplank side of things, you can always drop the Black Market Merchant and NAB package to throw in some Dreadway Deckhands and stuff like that to kind of make the deck a little more aggressive as well. As for some spells you can do, you can always include some parlays just as another 1 mana damage spell, and can always go face as well. And it does get a lot better with the kegs too, so if you are putting more kegs in the deck, it does go up in value. Also, you can run Get Excited, one of the better burn spells in Piltover, and versions of this deck have run it. Makes it a little more aggressive, but also a little more costly. If you are going to cut the NAB package, you could possibly replace Pilfered Goods with Get Excited. That would be perfectly fine as well. And finally, Monster Harpoon is another neat new tool that's available for the deck since it first came out. That's certainly worth including because it does a ton of damage, and as I mentioned, we are a plunder-based deck, so we can very easily get it to a cheaper cost. So a lot of value we can get out of Monster Harpoon, which does make it a solid include if you're looking to be a little more on the control-y side of things. So that's something to keep in mind. As for some basic mulligans, we are a tempo deck, so we're kind of looking to be as aggressive as possible. So you're really just looking to kind of curve out nicely, deal a ton of damage to your opponent, more so than kind of controlling what they're looking to do. In certain matchups, you may want to consider being a little more control-oriented, particularly things like, say, Draven Jinx, where you're not going to outrace them, so you might as well use Make It Rains proactively and Mystic Shots as well, just to kind of clear away your opponent's stuff. The NAB package is going to be particularly good against mid-range and control-y decks, where you can hit some massive cards off of them. It was always good against Anivia Control for stealing Harrowings and stuff like that, but certainly against Dragons it could be good for snapping one of their biggest pieces out of their deck so you can use it against them. So that's kind of how you want to look into the mid-range decks, is look for kind of the 3 power units and also the NAB. And control, you want to go very, very aggressive. NAB isn't necessarily bad against them. It can hit a lot of great things like their big win conditions, but your primary goal is to be aggressive and try to kill your opponent as fast as possible. And Ezreal will be worth a lot more in the control deck for kind of closing out the game, but you do want to wait until he's leveled up to play him in that circumstance, because he is very easy to kill. And that's just kind of how you want to go into most games looking at it. Again, the biggest thing is like a turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 curve out is going to work against most decks well for you. So if you're interested in trying this Blast from the Past, I do have a deck code and a deck link in the description below. And let's jump into some ranked matches and see how we can do in 2021 with this deck. Okay, Bilgewater Burn. This one ought to be interesting. A little bit of a better shot against this than Scargrounds. Especially with a hand like that. I don't think we keep the Riptide Rex. I don't think there's a world in which we want to keep that.
I'll shoot the wings off a bilge wasp.
Okay.
In range.
I think we're fine not playing something. Although, maybe Jagged Butcher... Yeah, actually I should have played Jagged Butcher there. That was the best Jagged Butcher could have been. Man, that feels bad, but I think, yeah, we should have played Jagged Butcher last turn so he didn't attack.
Coming in
Oops. That's our bad. Oh well. And now we attack with this, so we get the free damage through. Although we don't have any way to trigger Plunder off it. But yeah, we should have played Jagged Butcher on turn 2, then we could have swung, and then we could have played all of our other Jagged Butchers. Yeah, that was a mistake.
Let's get him, crew.
I think this has the highest upside, depending on what he plays. Or if he just swings, we just eat one. That's fine. I mean, we're taking a chunk here, but now he's down a Corsair, and we have this upgraded Jagged Butcher. Okay, he also has the Jagged Butcher. All right, all right. Too few mana for the Ezreal to really be worth it. All right, and I think we're gonna open swing here. Yeah, we're gonna open swing here. If he wants to trade everything into ours, that's fine. Oh, he's got to make a rain of his own. That's pretty disastrous for us. Because it's going to kill something. Oh, it's going to kill 2 things and trigger. Wow, he high-rolled so crazily there. That is the most high-rolled Make It Rain I've ever seen. It perfectly hit 2 1-health things and hit my Nexus to get him closer to leveling up Gangplank. Yeah, that could not have gone worse for us. Well, well. Well, we definitely misplayed turn 1. Make it rain. Ah, so now he plays the Gangplank. Okay, well, we definitely need to hold this then. Oh, okay. What do we do here? I think we're now better off with red card. Because that'll kill one of his Corsairs. And then I can trade plus eat. Okay, just trade. That's fine. I think we keep the Twisted Fate at this point. Well, we're getting to a low health total, but he also doesn't have many cards. Which is good for us.
I thought you'd never ask.
Okay. Another Ballista. Swing with everything. That would be convenient. So now I have a choice to make. So I think the better choice is to just lose the Twisted Fate, but keep our Ezreal, and then we can Mystic Shot Ballista and kill it. But we lose our Twisted Fate. But I think I'd rather have the Ezreal than the Twisted Fate. Alright. Mystic Shot. And now it becomes top deck battle. He has a lot of really good top decks though, so we're a little bit concerned. Gangplank just like kills us instantly. Okay. I think we can take that damage. It's a little bit risky to go the line of play I'm going here, but I don't want to play this discarding Black Market, and this is a pretty good way to get the Black Market activation. Okay. Alright. Black Market Merchant. Rearguard is a pretty bad hit. Oh, that's brutal. Alright, well, let's cycle one of these. And do a Make It Rain. Okay. Make It Rain. Level up the Ezreal.
They don't know what they're up against.
And then we play the rear guard.
Just need a second.
And then we kill that. See if he pulled a Noxian Fervor off the top. Ah, he did. Well, it's still better for us to do that now than let him get the damage in from swinging and that. But if he pulls a Gangplank and we don't pull a Twist of Fate, we are dead. Or Thermo.
Like a fish in
Okay, that's not lethal. In theory. Doesn't matter. What could he have pulled? Okay. That's at least good for us. He high-rolled he high-rolled his last Make It Rain, but that one was a pretty good low roll for us. Swing with everything. He's going to block the Ezreal.
Why are you here?
Drops him to 1. Did he pull the Decimate? No. Spell? Oop, that works too, actually. That works too. And deal 1 to that, and that is game. Woo! Oh, so very close, but we got there. Oh, we just need him to miss a couple draws in a row, and he did. Woo!
Ezreal is victorious.
Absolutely, we will take that, though. No questions asked. Okay, Sandra Talia. This ought to be interesting. Petty Officer's not great here, actually. Because it dies fairly easily, and the thing it summons probably does, too. Okay. Turn 1 Pool Shark isn't awful. Although, turn 1 Jagged Butcher might be better. This is weird, but I think this is actually the better play, because that gets 1 more point of damage. We're not terribly likely to use whatever Pool Shark grabs us this turn. And this lets us play Plunder Activated Black Market Merchant this turn.
Don't ask where it's from, ask how much.
What? Huh. Not something we were expecting to see. Probably won't play this, actually. Probably I'll just cycle this with the Urchin. That's fine. So yeah, I think we just go board wide here, right?
The sun rock got me good.
Ooh, I didn't really want another one of those. Although now we are a lot less likely to to hit it off of a Pool Shark. Oh no, no! That was unlucky. Okay, a lot of damage. So what do we do? Blue card? Answer landmarks 1. Okay. Blue card or red card? I think we blue card.
Deal me in.
If they have an avalanche, though, this is gonna be pretty devastating for us. And losing the Dreadway sucks. Ooh, there we go. Okay, we still have one. Time in a bottle, predict in advance too. Okay. So it's cracking soon, and it's gonna create 2 of them. Probably cracking next turn, even. I think is a fair guess. 7. Okay, yep. Cracks it. I don't think it's worth Pilfered Gooding here. That's a lot of damage for us to take. But I think we want to keep our board as alive as possible. I think we're just hoping he doesn't have an avalanche and that we can just open swing next turn. And if he has an avalanche, he's got us. I think that's just the world we're in. Okay. That's not that bad. All things considered. We're just open swinging next turn. We're super far from leveling up this Ezreal. Blocks that. Okay. Getting closer. Think we're gonna be too slow though. But let's see. Let's see what we can find off his deck.
I never disclose my sources.
Huh. Okay.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
But I mean, we're still dead, right? Because this is gonna flip the rest. I can do 3 points of damage between the warning shot. Predict. What do we want to hit here? None of these are particularly great. Yeah, I think we're dead. Very close, though. Closer than the Zed Teemo games we had. So we block, 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 and then we're dead by a billion. Yeah. Alright. Well, that's unfortunate. Very, very, very close, but my opponent had an extremely fast combo set up there, and unfortunately that was enough that we couldn't really beat. Oh well, on to the next. Alright, Bilgewater Burn again. Well, it went well last time, but will it go well this time? Yeah, those are pretty great cards for this matchup. Although we don't have the turn 2 plunder triggered black market merchant, which is a little sad, but I guess that means we do have the turn 2 Mystic Shot.
Watch this.
Yeah, I thought you'd take that. Oh, that's brutal.
Remember the objectives.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just kill that. Very, very brutal, pool shark for us there, for it to lose us an Ezreal that we very much wanted next turn. Is it worth blocking that? I think it might be. We might actually play like 0 value black market merchant. There is a non-zero. Oh. Okay, that's a little bit better. So then we cycle Dreadway.
Anything else?
That is really good.
No prey, no pay.
It worked. I know what he was scared of, but fortunately, so he didn't want to block here because they trade, and I had 2 mana up, so he's probably worried I had like a Mystic Shot or a Make It Rain.
Clear it out.
Either one of which would have been ideal. Do we want to trade? I don't think so. I think we just block here. Yeah, I think blocking is our best bet. And then maybe we play this Jagged Butcher without it triggered. And then we're set up for like TF red card next turn.
Gotta go with the flow.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, TF, red card. It's not actually a board wipe here, although it does make our Make It Rains better. What? Okay. So that's gonna kill both of those. Alright, so then we're just gonna do this. And we're gonna draw a bunch of cards from his deck. All of which will be nice and cheap. We're gonna take 2. It's gonna get pinged for 1, and then both of these are gonna die. That's some incredible high rolls on the Make It Rain, but realistically speaking, my opponent just spent 6 mana and dealt 2 damage to me, so that's not too bad. It's gonna be harder to trigger our Riptide Rex now, though, which is unfortunate.
There's plenty of killing left.
I have my orders.
Let's get to it.
Boom. Wow. That's nuts. I can't believe he took all that. I guess he does not know we're a tempo deck?
Keep firing till they're dead on the ground.
Summon a random 1 cost. That was a pretty bad 1 cost to get. Considering,
War Mason, reporting for
Misfortune Trigger kills that.
for the glory of Nexus.
Alright.
Got us covered.
So. Anything with 1 health can't really block. Still might be worth doing that. So if we block here, we eat the misfortune. And if we block here, we prevent 2 points of damage. Do we need to block with something else? That's the question.
What's that you got there?
I think we block. So we lose these 2 for free. Ooh. I mean, that's kind of bad for us, but that just means that my opponent used a Noxian Fervor and it didn't go face. I think that may actually cost him in the long run. Hard to say. You know what? I think we actually play this first. Gangplank not leveled up yet. Ooh, Make It Rain's pretty brutal for us. Oh, okay. That's also kind of brutal for us.
I'll do better this time.
Yeah, we don't swing with that. That we don't swing with.
Your path ends here.
Okay. Trades it all. Last card in hand. Does not get played. If we swung with Unscarred Reaver, he just eats it.
Guns blazing. I'm ready, baby. Love ya.
Oh, if he has it, he has it. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Well, find out what my opponent has. Yep. Yeah, he has it. Oh well. I mean, he doesn't know he wins there because we could have had Mystic Shot and then Mystic Shot gets us out, but unfortunately we did not have Mystic Shot, and so that was the game. Oh well. Opponent got very, very lucky that game, but on to the next. Alright, Karma Ezreal. Interesting. Welp, Ezreal versus Ezreal. We have the aggro beats, but they have life gain. This is a pretty aggressive hand, actually. I think we keep that. I think we like this hand. I think we like it a lot. Okay, cycle the Petty Officer. So what we're setting up here is a turn 3 Plunder Butcher plus Plunder Black Market. Potentially, depending on what my opponent plays.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
What do we want to do here?
My selection speaks for itself.
Not the best, not the worst. Okay. Predicting and creating a bunch of copies of whatever they predicted.
There's plenty of killing left. Time to get rich.
So, obviously here he trades here and then eats this. Oh, okay, he's not even gonna eat it. Alright. That's decent then. We like that. Now, the Steep Meditation is probably never going to cost 2 mana, but...
I thought you'd never ask.
I don't think we're particularly rewarded for going TF here. I'm not entirely sure what TF will stun there.
Stop bragging if you could back it up. Can't stop me.
Okay. Now we pull Shark.
Where do you stand on cold shots?
See what he chooses to kill. Probably, yeah, the Merchant. Makes the most sense. We're probably going to full swing next turn. Okay. Yep. Okay, now we don't. Now we do play the TF first because we want to kill the Dragonling.
What is gained when you return malevolence?
Although, then we lose this Black Market Merchant.
Good looking. Back at ya.
Okay. Highest upside is to swing here. Because I think there's a high chance he takes damage, yeah. And if he did block and eat all of our things, then we have this Twisted Fate doing a lot of work. But now we get this this trigger.
I made it myself.
That's unfortunate. Actually doesn't do anything for us. Because this is still only going to do 2 damage. We don't get a buff because it's reduced cost. But, I mean, we can kill some stuff with this, and that at least is fairly solid for us. We might deep meditations here. Although we might be better off Twisted Fate blue carding first. Okay, well, we're gonna do this then. We're gonna Twisted Fate gold card.
All that glitters.
I don't miss.
Kills Twisted Fate. Okay, that's fine. Play this.
Bounty Board knows me name.
Okay. That's still alright, because we're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna solve that problem now. Alright, that Ezreal is basically leveled up.
This is awesome.
See what he's got. Okay, Ezreal's leveling up.
Gauntlet.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So we're gonna take the 2 damage. We're gonna lose the board. We're not gonna trigger Plunder, but
Firing.
I mean, it's not fine, but I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. So it's not even worth the. I mean, we're going to deep meditation anyways, and then we're probably gonna pitch something to Urchin.
Scratched.
Okay, Pilfered Goods, which doesn't do anything, and then this, which does.
No way.
Okay, 1 Ezreal down, 2 to go. Zap's actually not bad.
Like a fish in water.
That's gonna draw us something.
Anything else?
Okay, you know what? We're gonna play the Ezreal.
Let's see all of it.
2 elusives gives us the highest chance of being able to trigger Plunder next turn with what we have. Ha! That's wild. Okay.
Through the coral.
See if he can stop us from doing damage. No, he cannot.
Looks like I'm ready.
Bye-bye.
Drop him to 3. Okay. That's not enough to kill him, though. But if he plays it, we can kill it next turn, in theory. We have double kill spells in hand.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hmm.
Store the rations. Shackle the prisoners.
That's very unfortunate. Okay, what are we most concerned about? Karma?
Unquenchable fire.
Or this life gain? I think we're worried about the life gain.
Whatever the cost.
He only has 1 card in hand, plus the 1 he'll draw. So, it should be harder for the leveled up Karma to get him out of things than everything else. Stun spell?
By force of will.
Yeah, okay, there we go. We will take that. Perfect. I guess we know which Ezreal, which Blast from the Past Ezreal deck is the better one. It is the Bilgewater Tempo Ezreal. Okay, dragons. This should be a pretty bad matchup for us, since most of their things trade very well with ours. That's pretty weak hand. Although I feel like Twist of Fate could be good, so we'll keep that. Thermogenic Beam's actually pretty good. Alright, we'll pitch the Maker Rain. Okay, I didn't really want that many Twist of Fates. I mean, I will very happily take that trade if they want it. I did not think so. No, that's fine. Oh, they're a little heavier into the Celestial package because they're running Spacey Sketcher. Interesting.
Zoe, I'm a serious artist now. I paint Sparkleflex.
Okay. Alright. Yeah, we'll pass. And then we will play Petty Officer, creating a 1-drop. That was the worst 1-drop we could have pulled. Pretty decidedly so. Yeah.
Oh, you're interesting.
I mean, no point swinging with this, so. Alright, well, we get the trade there, and then we kill some stuff. Then we kill some more stuff. You can always Twist of Fate red card just to rip the spell shield off of Zoe, I suppose. That's not great, though. Do we go for trying to level up a Twist of Fate? That doesn't seem very likely either, to be honest. But I think blue card is our best bet here.
Never lost a fair game.
I mean, with a second Twist of Fate and a Pool Shark in hand, it's not impossible to level up this Twist of Fate, but definitely does not... It's not typically something that we would consider very likely. Ooh. So many Spacey Sketchers. What do you pitch to it? We're probably not going to use this TF pick a card, because we're probably going to want this as a second Twist of Fate. Okay. Well, that's not too bad. He's just losing the free card off that. Okay. Oh, well, that does change things. Play that. Nab. What? Excuse me? Okay, so I can draw another 2 to 5? And then I get 6, 7 on the next turn? Or I can tuck something. Well, I don't really want this Submersible, to be honest, but... okay, we're gonna tuck that. And then we're gonna play Pool Shark. Okay. Zoe's getting towards leveling up. Okay, that's sketchy. Another Twist of Fate, huh? You draw 2 cards? Okay. So now we cycle this Petty Officer, I think. Kind of want this Submersible to reach the reach the point it upgrades. Yes, we took the Dreadway. And then we pass. Because then Twisted Fate levels up next turn. Unless he can kill it right now. Which he can't. Yep. Alright, that's sick. Leveled up Twisted Fate is very good for business.
I guess you can win them all.
And now we can start swinging with him. Okay, play the Zap, draw a card, and we blue card as well. More pilfered goods was not great for us here. Okay. Well, that's bad. Leveled up Zoe is very bad for us. Challenger and tough onto everything. Yeah, that's pretty horrendous. So red card, which does nothing except strip a spell shield, which realistically speaking doesn't do anything. Then we pilfered goods, I guess. Oh, maybe I should have black marketed here. That might have been better. Actually, that was certainly better.
You started without me.
Yeah, I think we just lose to leveled up Zoe here. I didn't even notice that he had Vi. I don't know how I didn't notice that. And now he just assigns blocks however he wants.
Trouble coming at ya.
Oh, so I can't get any activations by playing cards. That's why he did that. Okay. I think that's our best play here. Because in theory he lives and he kills the Trickster. Okay. Which worked. Alright, we're happy about that. Play this, we nab a card. Now we're going to kill this Vi, I think. I think that's what we're in the business of doing right now.
I am superior life force.
Okay, and he gave augment to everything. That is deeply terrifying. Okay. What are we doing next turn? I think we're playing the Priestess, right? I think that's our smartest play here.
Daylight warms the heart and lights the way.
Eyes open.
I mean, if we get a Riptide Rex flip, this Ezreal is going to do some work. Okay, well that's, yep, that's terrifying. I think we are dead then.
I'm a people person.
trying to think of our outs here, and I don't think there's many. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we are so beyond dead. Yeah, I actually know it. It's not even worth there's no outs. There's 0 outs. We can't draw enough burn to kill our opponent, so yeah, they leveled up the Zoe and that won them the game, unfortunately, but yeah. It goes like that. So, how do we do in our matches? Well, in total, we went 2 and 3 in the video, and I've played a grand total of 7 games, and I've gone 3 and 4, so a little less ideal than I would like, and it's an overall win rate of 43%, but it kind of is a blast from the past deck. I didn't really update it too much from the old version, so it's more or less the list that I ran previously, just with a couple of little tweaks, but it might do a little bit better if I took a little more time to kind of revisit the list, see how it worked. And I mean, we did play a number of kind of meta decks with splitting the difference with Bilgewater Burn and then Lysandra Talia as well. We did have pretty bad luck with running into Scargrounds. The deck is rare, but certainly it is a bad deck for us in the matchup because they line up fairly well against our threats, and our removal is really, really bad against them, especially with the Scargrounds out. It really just gives them tough and makes all their stuff big. So that's a pretty big downside for us. Other than that, we did lose as well to Zoe Vi Soul, so there's that one as well. And then the Lysandra Talia game was not particularly, well, it was a little bit close. Maybe that can go favorably for us, but again, our removal doesn't line up particularly well, and we have no way to deal with landmarks, which can kind of be a problem against that deck. And their removal does line up fairly well against ours as well, so they got us in that game, although they did kind of draw really, really well on that removal, and we drew kind of poorly, so maybe if I played it a little bit more, that matchup would look a bit more favorably for us, but the deck doesn't seem meta-breaking, to say the least. I'm probably not going to play a ton of it going forward at this point either. It was definitely fun and a neat little break, and kind of, again, playing a deck that I hadn't played in a very, very long time that used to be the most broken deck ever. So it's funny to look back on that and remember that we used to think that Riptide Rex was totally broken, whereas they could revert that as well and it still would not be broken. So, yeah. Deck is fun, but I'm probably going to be looking at some other Piltover Bilgewater decks for the next patch after we get the new cards from the, whatever they call it, the champion release that comes at the end of the 3rd season of each region release. So, yeah, there's a number of cards I'm interested for that, and I am interested in this region combination, but I'm probably not going to play a ton of this. On reflection, I should have probably trimmed the high end of the package a little bit because that many 8 costs is kind of rough for us. And I could have put in a little more interaction, maybe drop the Pilfered Goods. It was fun to mess with the NAB package again, but it's not really, really great right now. There's not a lot of amazing cards you can hit with it. So it probably would have been better to replace it with some more removal, maybe Get Excited, or Monster Harpoon has done very well recently. So throwing in a couple of those when we're already a very plunder-focused deck would have actually been pretty solid, and I might actually consider dropping like Pool Sharks for something like Crackshot Corsair to improve our plunder triggering so we can get that a little more consistently and be a little more aggressive than the Pool Shark as well. But the deck is definitely fun. It did better than it probably would have done in the previous seasons before the buff, so that's really, really cool to see. And like I said, it is a very fun deck to play. If you like the whole Ezreal Tempo style, but you don't want to play Draven and Noxus, this is a nice way to get that same kind of deck, but with a different feel. And if you miss playing Riptide Rex, here's an awesome deck to do that in. And we definitely see Make It Rain at some of its best in this deck. So, yeah, really fun deck. Probably won't play a ton of it going forward because of that. But, yeah, it was a solid include, and if you're interested in trying it, there is that deck link in the description below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe for more card game-related content.